All right, welcome into the show. This is Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. Chase Senior here with you. Another loaded show on the docket. Here's what we're discussing. Could Nick Sirianni and the Philadelphia Eagles lose 3 big-time coaches on his coaching staff? That's what we're going to explore, but first, I have to thank everybody out there, and this comes from the bottom of my heart. I greatly appreciate all of your support of Philadelphia Eagles Now. Overnight, we were able to surpass 36,000 subscribers, and it's my goal as a guy who grew up in the Philadelphia area to make this the go-to Philadelphia Eagles YouTube channel out there. So if you want videos every single day on the birds, Fly Eagles Fly, E-A-G-L-E-S, lock us in and subscribe today. So here's what we're discussing here. Nick Sirianni, is he going to lose some coaches on his coaching staff? Tom Pelissero put together his annual Young NFL Coaches to Watch list as potential candidates for 2023. He named 3 Eagles assistants. And when you're a good team in the NFL, your assistants get poached. That's just what happens. That's the reality of the situation. You look at past Super Bowl winners, right? Whether it be the Eagles from a couple of years ago when Frank Reich left and Jim Schwartz got a couple of interviews, or Bill Belichick over the years. Andy Reid has had to deal with the same issues as well. Other teams are going to see that organization having success, and they want some of those ingredients to sprinkle on their respective organization, and that's why they're going to try to get that next young hot head coach. And Tom Pelissero talked about 3 Eagles assistants, which I'm excited to break down. So, coach number 1, who got 3 head coaching interviews last year and is expected to be a hot commodity in the 2023 cycle. This is controversial, but it is Jonathan Gannon, the current defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, who has this unit firing on all cylinders, much more so as compared to last year. And if you think I'm lying, we have some numbers to back that up. Here's what Pelissero had to say about Jonathan Gannon, the Eagles DC. It won't be a surprise if several members of Nick Sirianni's young staff are in demand for head coaching interviews in this cycle. Sirianni himself is another alum of this list, as Pelissero has done it the last several years for NFL.com. Gannon interviewed last year for head coaching jobs with the Broncos, Vikings, and Texans, who brought him back for a second time, did Houston. And the Eagles' improvement on defense should make him an even hotter name this time around. And that's why Jonathan Gannon is going to get head coaching opportunities. He's young. He's on the rise. He's gone through a lot of steps in his individual coaching career, and he is a protege of some previous quality head coaches in the league. And the Eagles' defense, most importantly, has improved dramatically to historic levels from 2021 now to 2022. Yards per game, second in the NFL. 300 plus. Takeaways, they are number 1 in the NFL. Interceptions, they also rank atop all 32 teams in the National Football League with 13. C.J. Gardner-Johnson has a league-leading 6. What a trade by Howie Roseman, by the way. Yards per play, also first. When you watch this Eagles defense, it doesn't feel as though the Eagles are top 2 in all of these categories, but they are. And from last year to this year, take a look at this progress for Gannon. Howie Roseman certainly deserves some credit for this Eagles defense playing better because he has better personnel on this Eagles roster, but look at the jump from a year ago to this year's campaign. Opposing completion percentage. Last year, the Eagles, 32nd in the NFL, is one of the worst of all time. This year, they're 4th. Interception ratio from 21st to 5th. Passing yards, 21st to 5th. Passing yards per game. Last year, the Eagles were 10th, which was pretty solid. This year, even better, atop the NFL. And total interceptions. All last year in 17 games, the Eagles were able to register 12 picks. This year, they already have more than that through 10 games with 13. And when a team improves that much, like we just showed you, you're going to get head coaching buzz. And that is why Jonathan Gannon is expected to be an interviewee for some candidates for some vacant head coaching positions in 2023. So with that, let's ask you this. Just give me a simple grade of what you think Gannon has been able to do as the Eagles DC. Has he been doing a good job? G for good, B for bad. Let me know right now. Coach number 2, mentioned by NFL insider Tom Pelissero. Shane Steichen, offensive coordinator, who is calling plays this year and did take over play calling duties from Nick Sirianni last year. Offensive play callers are always of the utmost highest demand in the NFL, and that's why I think Steichen could get a head coaching job as early as 2023, although for him, I might come back another year and go through another season as an OC to get myself primed and ready for a head coaching position. Tom Pelissero on Steichen this time. He has overseen the Eagles' offensive rise since taking over play calling duties last year and has a good reputation going back to his days with the Los Angeles Chargers. And with the Los Angeles Chargers, I know that they're an organization that really does struggle to have sustainable winning teams, right? But they've also had pretty good offenses, and Shane Steichen was a part of some of those offenses. Here is his rise. Offensive quality control coach with the Chargers 2014, 2015, so he did have some connections with Frank Reich several years ago. Quarterbacks coach with the Chargers from 2016 to 2019 under Anthony Lynn. Interim OC and full-time offensive coordinator, splitting those duties in 2019-20, and the last 2 years, he's been the Eagles' offensive coordinator, and then last year, after Nick Sirianni originally called the plays, he then take over as the offensive coordinator. Eagles 2022 offensive rankings, they've been fantastic under Steichen. His leadership, his play calling, the timeliness of some of those calls that he sends into Jalen Hurts, and the development of Jalen Hurts, which we'll get to around the corner. A big reason why he too well respected across the NFL. Points per game, the Eagles right now, 4th, 26.3 yards per game. They rank 5th. Passing yards per game, they're 12th with a quarterback who I don't think is an elite passer, but more of an all-around weapon. And then rushing yards per game, you're getting it done through the air, getting it done on the ground as well. That's why Steichen is respected 6th in the NFL in those rushing yards. Before we continue to keep it moving, one more coach to get to and potential replacements. 2 names who you know very, very well who do have Pennsylvania and Eagles ties. We want to tell you about Established Titles first. Head to establishedtitles.com/chat for 10% off. Established Titles is a fun and novel way to preserve the natural woodlands of Scotland while helping global reforestation efforts. It's a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lairds, lords, and ladies in English. You can buy title packs, which give you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land right here with a unique plot number on this private estate in Edelston, Scotland. That also comes with an official certificate with a crest that gets customized for you. They plant a tree with every order and work with global charities, One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future, to support global reforestation efforts. I was talking about that crest. Here is mine. I am now called Lord Chase Sr. And speaking of being called Lord, you could add the title Lord or Lady on your credit cards, plane tickets, and dating profiles. This is the best and most unique last-minute gift. The first 200 people can get a plot of land next to me. And with Black Friday coming up on Friday, you can save 10% off by using the code CHAT at establishedtitles.com/chat, and that goes on top of already what is on the site, deals up to 80% off. We'll put that link in the comment section and the description of this video. Really appreciate Established Titles for being the presenting sponsor of Philadelphia Eagles. Now, going back to Steichen, and then this kind of goes into the next coach who we're going to talk about. It's the growth of Jalen Hurts, and Steichen has overseen Hurts' development and jump in play through the air in 2021 and here in 2022. This is a graphic that I love looking at because it goes to show you how Jalen Hurts has been able to accelerate in his development as a passer. Year 1, the completion percentage was down, sub 52%. I think a big reason for that, a lot of throwaways, and that offensive line was bad. So too were the skill position players. But either way, to go from 52% completion percentage, sub that in 2020, all the way up to 68% here in 2022, those are the mechanical changes and the coaching that he is getting from Shane Steichen, but also by another guy who we're about to talk about. And these 2 hires, Shane Steichen and the next coach who we're about to discuss, great moves by Nick Sirianni. And when a quarterback in an offense takes such a big leap, you are going to be a hot commodity for a head coaching job. That's why we're talking about Jonathan Gannon on this list. That's why we're talking about Shane Steichen and the next guy, Brian Johnson. First, though, with Jalen Hurts, EA Sports, it's in the game. The real ones know. If you were playing Madden, what would Jalen Hurts' overall Madden rating be, and what should it be right now? I want you to rate him on the Madden scale from 1 to 100. Now we shift gears to coach number 3, the aforementioned Brian Johnson. This guy, when he played at Utah in the early 2000s, was slinging the rock. He was insane. Sugar Bowl MVP back in 2009 while playing at Utah. And this guy, I think, is one of the more under-talked about prospective head coaches coming up here in 2023 or 2024. This guy's on a meteoric rise right now. More background on Johnson. This coming from Tom Pelissero on top of what he said about Steichen and Gannon. Johnson was a prolific college quarterback at Utah who returned to the Utes as a coach and subsequently became the youngest FBS offensive coordinator at age 24. He has mentored the likes of Dak Prescott, Kyle Trask, and now Jalen Hurts, whose dad coached Brian Johnson when he was in high school. And Johnson's numbers at Utah, we were just talking about Madden, they were video game-like numbers. He completed 66% of his passes for 10,000 yards from 2004 to 2008, 57 tutties to 22 picks, 2009 Sugar Bowl MVP, and a quarterback rating of 144.2. Him being the youngest offensive coordinator in college at that ripe age, it wasn't really a surprise because this guy got right into coaching after his playing career. Never made it to the NFL. 2010 to 2013, quarterbacks coach and offensive coordinator for the Utes, where he graduated from and starred. 2014 to 2016, quarterbacks coach at Mississippi State. 2017 with Houston, offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. Then he was under Dan Mullen, 2018 to 2020, OC and quarterbacks coach. And what a hire it was by Nick Sirianni to bring him in as the quarterbacks coach the last couple of years. I think that his relationship with Jalen Hurts, his familiarity with number one, has benefited him as a coach and Jalen Hurts as a player, and that relationship with Hurts was a smart reasoning behind why Nick Sirianni brought him in, on top of him just being on that trajectory of being that next hot young head coach. Very, very smart by Sirianni, and with the Eagles having a lot of success the last 2 years, Sirianni, by the way, 16-4 in his last 20 regular season games, he's going to start to build his coaching tree, which is pretty impressive given his young inexperienced level as an NFL head coach when talking about Sirianni. So of those three guys, the first Eagles coach to get a head coaching job in the Sirianni tree, who's it going to be? Drop me a name right now. A few scenarios to watch out for if some of these coaches do leave. If Shane Steichen leaves, the natural, organic move is for Johnson to elevate from quarterbacks coach to offensive coordinator. So keep an eye out for that. If Jonathan Gannon were to leave, I think that Vic Fangio is done as a head coach in this league. Right now, he's a consultant with the Philadelphia Eagles. He grew up in Dunmore, which is 2 hours north of Philadelphia, neighboring town of Scranton. If Gannon were to leave, I think Vic Fangio steps in as a defensive coordinator. One, he's already here. Two, familiarity in state. He gets to stay in Pennsylvania as he's starting to get a little bit older, and this Eagles defense is still going to have a lot of stud playmakers for him to use at his disposal. Another scenario, if Johnson and Steichen both leave, how about this guy comes over to Philadelphia, returns where he was an assistant under Doug Peterson, and now he would be an assistant under Nick Sirianni when he used to be Nick Sirianni's boss in Indianapolis when Sirianni was there prior to coming to Philadelphia. Or a handful there, but Reich reunites with Sirianni to be the OC, in my opinion. I think it's a logical move if he doesn't get a head coaching job, if Brian Johnson and Shane Steichen were to leave. Or if Brian Johnson left, to maybe be a play caller as an OC somewhere else because Steichen came back. You're not going to relieve him of his duties. Then maybe Reich can be the quarterback's coach. He was the offensive coordinator for Dougie P back in 2017 when the Birds won Super Bowl 52. Before we hop on out of here, this is why you subscribe to the show. And whenever a big move happens, we'll let you know. That's why it's important for you to subscribe and turn on your notifications, because anything that happens with this football team, we have you covered with daily videos year-round. Appreciate the support. Lock us in and subscribe today.